Well, there's no place like home.
But you know, no matter how sweet home is, something sweeter might come along and tempt you to leave. Suppose you were offered a six-figure state job in Albuquerque. You want the job, but Albuquerque's 200 miles away, and you don't want to live there. What do you pick? Job, home, job? Tonight, Larry Barker exposes how a state official got both and stuck you with a huge bill.
Meet the commissioner.
I'm the longest-serving gaming control board member ever.
Don Dutton is a $100,000 a year state employee, and boy, is he special.
How special? We'll take a peek inside his private Albuquerque office here at the Gaming Control Board. There's no pictures on the wall, no books, no files, no phones, no trinkets, and no Don Dutton.
You see, although gaming control is in Albuquerque, Commissioner Dutton prefers to work down the road, 189 miles down the road in Ruidoso. So whenever there's a meeting at Gaming Control, the commissioner hops into his car, drives 3.5 hours to Albuquerque. He'll often stay in a hotel, have a meal or two, attend his meeting, and go home. And who pays for all that? Well, you guessed it. Our investigation found taxpayers have been paying tens of thousands of dollars for Don Dutton's commute.
6 years ago, the governor appointed Don Dutton to the Gaming Control Board. But Dutton lives in Ruidoso, and he did not want to move to his new full-time job here in Albuquerque. So how could he pull it off? Well, Dutton took the matter up with the governor's then chief of staff, David Contarino.
When I discussed this with Mr. Contarino, my duty assignment was changed to Ruidoso.
How many commissioners have offices outside of Albuquerque?
You know the answer to that, Larry.
John Montfort is the Gaming Board's executive director.
We don't have any documentation that his duty station is in Ruidoso.
Nor does Dutton have any duties that require his presence in Ruidoso. Nevertheless, the Gaming Board rented and equipped workspace for him there. So far, it's forked over some $30,000 for his Ruidoso office, while his office just down the hall from the Albuquerque boardroom sits empty. And the board picks up hundreds of dollars in expenses for Dutton every time he attends a meeting in Albuquerque. For example, it costs $340 for the commissioner to attend a regular board meeting on one day and a chat with staff the next. A 2-hour discussion with staff a year ago cost taxpayers another $120.
If Don Dutton had worked out of his Albuquerque office, we wouldn't have to pay for Don Dutton to attend this meeting, would we?
That's correct.
And there they go.
In May 2007, taxpayers picked up the tab for Dutton to attend a meeting of the Racing Commission. Never mind that he isn't even on the Racing Commission and did not take part in the meeting.
There were meetings that I simply sat and listened, which is a form of participation also.
And in your opinion, it's okay for the public to foot the bill for you to do that?
Absolutely.
In 2005, Dutton simply sat and listened to the governor's annual State of the State address to the legislature.
So we paid you $264 to go listen to a speech. Couldn't you just read the text and get the same thing out of it and save taxpayers $264?
No, sir. I tell you, I visited with legislators in person.
State Senator Eric Griego reviewed the results of our investigation.
We had some tough budget cuts this past year, so I think it's really unconscionable for us to then say we're going to make special accommodations for state employees who want to live somewhere else in the state, even though their office is here in Albuquerque, or be paid to travel to where they should be showing up to work.
The Gaming Control Board regulates slot machines at racetracks and fraternal organizations. Dutton stays in touch with his colleagues by phone. He says he puts in long days, but don't bother looking for him here on Wednesday afternoons.
Do you ever play golf during working hours in Ruidoso?
Yes, sir. I played golf generally on a Wednesday afternoon or a Friday afternoon. It's generally comp time, or it's time that I make up either before or after.
David Norvell is the Gaming Control Board's chairman.
Does it bother you to know that Don Dutton's playing golf on Wednesday afternoons when you're here sitting at your desk doing the work of the public?
Well, I didn't know that. I think if it's an 8 to 5 job Monday through Friday, and that's probably where we ought to be at the desk.
Dutton leaves his desk for other reasons besides golf. He sometimes travels to out-of-state meetings, conventions, and seminars. Last summer, the New Mexico State Bar held its annual convention in Scottsdale. Don Dutton was there, and you footed the $1,100 bill. To date, his travel bill totals $25,000.
There are rules about how public officials can spend your money. It can get complicated, but the bottom line is this. Any public expenditure must always be for a public purpose. What is your advice to any state official who is expending taxpayers' funds?
Be judicious, be frugal. Make sure that when you go to a meeting, you have a legitimate need to be there and that you're acting on behalf of the taxpayers.
Have all of your reimbursements, your per diem, your mileage, all your reimbursements, have they been for a public purpose?
In my mind, yes, sir, and obviously in the minds of my superiors.
The gravy train for gaming commissioners is now at an end. Due to state budget cuts in February, the Gaming Control Board eliminated all travel and per diem reimbursements for commissioners.
Do you have any advice to Don Dutton as it relates to his commute from Ruidoso to Albuquerque to conduct the public's business?
Well, my message to him was that we were going to stop paying board members travel and per diem, and so I think that answers that question.
If I've done anything wrong, it's been unintentional, and I'll take full responsibility for it, apologize for it, and not do it again.
Larry Barker, KRQE News 13.
The governor's office issued a statement about Don Dutton's expenditures. It says, quote, "We were not aware of the amount of per diem Dutton was receiving, which appears to be excessive, given that Mr. Dutton chose to work in Ruidoso rather than Albuquerque."